All right, let's go ahead and get started. I believe this is where we left off. Am I correct? We're talking about the weird guy, weird son guy. All right, you can put that away, Michaela. You won't need that for the rest of the class. All right. So, what do you remember from yesterday about sleep? Or consciousness, I guess. I would accept consciousness. Nothing. Is that the answer I'm getting? I don't remember anything from yesterday about consciousness. Haley, you wouldn't remember, so don't worry about it. Devin. Sounds good. Anything else? All right. You know what that means. Lack of participation means I got to give you a question on Google Classrooms. Go ahead and go to Google Classroom. You have a question based on consciousness and unconsciousness, waking mind, and altered state. It was a great answer, Devin, though. Questions out there? Go ahead and get it done. Another thing we talked about yesterday was processing. Now there was explicit processing and implicit processing. So the explicit processing is your brain doing work that you're aware of. You know what's happening. It's where you're thinking about something. So for example, when you're driving 40 miles an hour in a 55, your explicit processing is where you can find a place to pass this person that wants to destroy your soul and drive 15 miles an hour into the speed limit, right? So your explicit processing is where am I going to see those little yellow stripes where I can get over, pass this person safely, and get back over, right? Hopefully. That's not ideal, but, you know, that would be ideal. But it is what it is, right? Your implicit processing would be if that person breaks down to 35, do you have to think, okay, body, hit the brake? Or does your body hit the brake naturally, implicitly? If I see somebody stopping in front of me, I don't need to think, okay, I should blah, blah, blah. Like if I'm passing somebody, I think, okay, I need to look for this yellow line. It'll probably show up here. I need to accelerate. If somebody stops in front of me, I don't think. I just hit the brake, right? That's your implicit processing. It's processing that happens without your conscious awareness. It's autonomic, right? Autonomic. Part of that nervous system, right? Similar to that sympathetic, it is part of this autonomic is a big part of the sympathetic nervous system, but it happens just instantly. You don't need to think about it. All right? And the last thing we talked about was that circadian rhythm and how circa means about, DF means day. So it means about a day. It is about a day. But there are some times where your circadian rhythm's off for whatever reason. Stay up really late one night and you have trouble sleeping or whatever it may be. Right? The circadian rhythm is usually about that 24-hour period. The hypothalamus, tiny section of the brain. This is your glandular system, which is a big deal. Helps with that pituitary gland, the master gland, right? Sends your hormones, your fear responses. And then there's the suprachiasmatic nucleus. One of my favorite words is suprachiasmatic. But the internal clock tells people when to wake up and fall asleep. It's very funny. I woke up super late today because mine didn't work exactly like I wanted it to, right? But it did wake me up with enough time to get to work. So here's what I think. I think subconsciously I saw what time it was, but I wasn't in my waking state. I was in an altered state this morning, right? So I think my brain knew what time it was, but I wasn't consciously aware of what time it was, right? So my body, knowing the cycle that I sleep in, a suprachiasmatic nucleus, takes hold and says, okay, you have to get up. You have to. And it woke me up at a time where I had enough time to get ready and come to work and still be able to. Does that make sense? So you can know what time it is without knowing what time it is. How many of you ever look and check your watch or your phone and look to see what time it is, and then 30 seconds later you realize you didn't really pay that close attention and you have to check again? Right? You do know what time it is, right? If somebody asked you what time it was and made you guess, you would be super close, almost dead on. Because of your subconscious mind saw it and interpreted it. It's just you blew it from your conscious mind so quickly that you didn't think it was important information. Right? So, how many of you have ever heard of micro sleeps before? All of you have experienced micro sleeps, right? I think John's experiencing some right now. Pretty close, right? But micro sleeps are sort of the thing where you're sitting in a chair and all of a sudden your head does this. Yeah? You guys had that before? Sort of gives you like a whiplash symptom. That sleep lasts only a few seconds. A lot of people do this like when they're watching TV, or if you fall asleep while you're on your phone. You'll start with micro sleeps where your eyes are closed for like 4 seconds and then you open them real quick and be like, oh, I was asleep for a second, right? Or if somebody asks you, are you sleeping? And you go, no, I'm awake. I've been watching this. I'm here, I'm listening, right? Those are micro sleeps. Your body can't actually get rest from those. Because what it does is when you close your eyes, you're shutting out that sensory, right? You can't see anything, but it keeps the other senses. So shutting down one of those senses allows your body to sort of focus on recovery. But one of the most dangerous things in the world is sleep deprivation. Almost twice as dangerous as driving as drunk is driving while sleep deprived. Pretty bad. Falling asleep at the wheel is a pretty deadly thing. Almost every person who falls asleep at the wheel and gets into an accident, over 70% of them have fatalities. Okay. So, pretty crazy. So sleep deprivation by definition is sleep loss that impairs concentration and results in irritability. So how many of you have found that days where you don't get as much sleep as you wanted to, you are a little crabby, so to speak, right? It happens. This is why it's so important. Statistically speaking, when you have a test the next day, once you hit sort of that 7 hours before you have to get up mark, it's more beneficial for you to stop studying and sleep than it is for you to stay up and cover the information. Study it. the sleep is much more important because it allows you to have more concentration and pick up on things. So if you're ever studying for something, right, you don't study for my class because we don't take tests, but you're studying for another class, you hit that mark where if I don't go to sleep soon, I'm not going to get 7 hours of sleep, go to sleep. Study it in the morning if you want. After you wake up from your 7 hours, that's fine. You'll get more out of that than you would staying up and studying and sleeping 4 hours, right? All-nighters, not effective. They're actually counterintuitive. They make you do poorer than if you would have just slept, right? So, pretty important. Average amount needed by an adult, 7 to 9 hours. Somebody my age, it's about 7 hours. Somebody your age, it's about 10. Why? You're still developing. Are you getting taller? I don't know, maybe, probably not at this age, right? Are you getting wider? Definitely. I don't think we ever stop getting wider, right? I love food. It's been a lot harder. I did remember I was doing the Whole30 and told everybody about it. Kind of changed me. I don't like to eat weird stuff anymore. Like I like weird stuff, but I don't like eating like chemicals and stuff. I wanted pizza last night, so I just made pizza. But I needed a gluten-free crust, so I had to get almond flour. And then all the pizza sauces I found had a bunch of crap in them, so then I boiled tomatoes and made my own pizza sauce. Then all the cheeses I found had a bunch of crap in them, so I had to go to a specialty store and get, like, man, I sound real snobby right now. Real yucky. I get it. I understand that, right? It was awesome. It tasted very good. But I will still eat. I ate, like, half of that pizza. And I don't mean, like, I made one of those little homemade pizzas, you know, that are like this big. Like probably a 16, 18-inch pizza or bigger. Yeah, I wasn't messing. I was hungry, right? So my wife got back. I had to pick her up at like 11 p.m. It's awful. Usually I'm already sleeping, but it is what it is. So, more sleep you guys get, the better. All right. There is absolutely nothing creepy about putting people asleep on your slide. Don't call me a creep. All right. So this dude is enjoying life right now. He's living his best life. Why? This dude's chilling in the hammock, no shirt on, not a care in the world. I'd imagine that they took out some beach behind him to make you not so envious of this guy, right? Although beaches are overrated, in my opinion. But that's just me. All right? So, why do we sleep? So, there are a couple theories. First theory we're going to talk about is the adaptive theory. And this theory is that animals evolved their sleep patterns to surround the time periods in which they are most likely to be eaten by predators, right? So that's where nocturnal animals come from, according to this theory. So they are awake and can fight back or move when they're at the highest risk. So for example, a lion sleeps all night and most of the day, right? Because not many animals can attack a lion or take down a lion. But what about a gazelle? What about even smaller animals than that, like raccoons or those types of animals? Why do you think that they are more active at night? Rabbits in the wild, too, are nocturnal as well. So if you see them moving during the day, it's usually very early in the morning or very late at night. Right? Why do you think that is? So that they're awake when the predators are what? Sleep. So they have the lowest risk of moving, right? Or lowest risk of dying when they move and going to find food. And then when they're asleep, they stay perfectly still. They're a little bit harder to find because their scent isn't tracked everywhere. And they're not moving, so they can't be heard or anything, right? So those adaptive sleep patterns. This is predominantly thought why human beings generally get tired at night and wake up in the day. That's why it's very difficult to work third shift, because our humanistic behavior for generations has said, it's also the restorative theory. Sleep replenishes chemicals and repairs cellular damage. So why do you think people who are in the hospital recovering from surgeries or injuries, they say you need your rest? It's because they need their rest. Sleep does do these things, right? Sleeping allows your body to sort of say, okay, brain, you're not going to get as much blood, right? Because you're not going to be conscious. You still keep some so that you have some functions, and so we can respond in case a fight or flight situation occurs. But for the most part, we're going to send this blood, we're going to send this energy other places to help heal. So we're going to send here and send more red blood cells to this area so that it can close up that wound and form a scab. Right? Worst thing you can do for a scab is peel it off. The scab is there to protect you from getting an infection. It's your body's natural way of putting a Band-Aid. Right? So if you have a scab, just leave the scab, let it dry out. Eventually it'll fall off when your subdermal layers come up to the outermost dermis layer, and then that, you see it, you're good. Right? It's also why if you ever donate blood, you need to sleep. Right? You donate blood, you need to sleep that day because your body needs to focus on producing more blood. Anybody know how long it takes you to get your blood back? Yeah, usually it's less than 24, but they say it's about a day. So after about a day, you're fine. So a lot of people say, oh, I'm still so tired. No, you're not. Shut up. You're being dramatic. Just shut up. Right? Sort of like, let's see. What's a good example? Somebody give me a good example of somebody being overly dramatic. It's pretty common. I only got 3 hours of sleep last night. Shut up. You made that choice. Couldn't sleep. You didn't. So shut up. Right? I could say that. I could see that happening. Right? Like, yeah, you got Red Dead Redemption 2. How many hours of sleep did you get last night? Huh? Okay. So are you complaining about how early it is and how many hours you got to sleep? Then good for you. But if you were complaining, I would say shut up. Right? Don't talk about it. He's not. So bravo, Devin. Keep doing your thing. Right? Although I can't recommend staying until 3. That's my usual schedule, so I don't really. See? So that is your suprachiasmatic nucleus reacting. Right? So, which one of these is true? Obviously, the answer is probably both. The sleep patterns that you have sort of follow that predator structure, but that doesn't stop the sleep that you're getting from restoring those chemicals throughout your brain. How many of you have ever heard of this theory about patience? That instead of, how many of you ever heard like your patience is wearing thin? Right? You ever heard that term, my patience is wearing thin? The theory is that you have a certain amount of patience in your brain every day. And that can wear down eventually to 0. When it hits 0, you're just done. Done. Right? So this theory contradicts something that had been accepted by psychologists for a long time, because eventually they said, hey, your level of patience should be constant throughout the day. It's the other things that change, right? So if you're a patient person, you'll be as patient as you are in the evening as you should be in the morning, right? And that if you're not, it's other things that are affected. But what we've generally found is that your patience is sort of like a gas tank, and you only have a certain amount a day, right? There are some days it's only half full. There are some days it's all the way full to the brim. There are some days it starts pretty close to empty and you're running on fumes, right? It just happens. And when you run out of fuel, you have to refill it. You do that via sleep. And there are a couple things like that too, like concentrated mind. How many of you, when you were doing exams back at your home schools, you were studying or doing some sort of work near the end of the semester and you felt a little more tired than you normally would at school? You know what I'm talking about. If you ever go to college, you'll know what I mean as well, because when it gets to exam time, so basically in college you get about 4 grades per class. You have the midterm exam, the final exam, and then a midterm paper and a final paper. If you fail one of those, best grade you can get is a 75%. Fail both of them, you fail. 4 grades. That's it. Very high stress situation, right? Because you have to do well if you want to pass. There aren't 40 grades, there are 4. So it's very high stress situation. So I would go in and I would study, and eventually you hit a point where you're not doing any good anymore. You've got to know when to stop, and you would need to sleep and then come back to it and study more the next day. Sort of got to refuel your body, let it get where it needs to go. All right. All right, let's take a look at this chart real quick. Sleep patterns of infants and adults. So how does our sleep cycle work? Well, it works sort of like this. Total daily sleep, as we go down, is less and less. Because our bodies are doing less and less as we get older, right? So there's sort of this sharp decline after 20 to 30, but 30 to 50 isn't a huge difference. Even 50 to 70 isn't a huge difference. 30 to 90 is a huge difference, right? But it's slowly over time versus from 0 to 2 is the sharpest decline, 2 to 6. That makes sense? So total daily sleep decreases. The amount of REM sleep as a baby is like crazy. Right? And that's because babies are literally growing every second. Right? Anybody know the 2 organs that never stop growing on human beings? Ears, nose. Yeah, your nose is bigger today than it was yesterday. Yeah. So the green stuff is the really good deep sleep. That's the delta waves. That is the, if somebody woke you up in that, you would look like a zombie. You would need like 5 minutes just to like hang out and really get awake. REM sleep is dream sleep. It's your closest place to conscious mind while still being unconscious, while still being in that altered state. All right. So the amount of time you spend dreaming decreases pretty significantly. Age until you hit about 30, then if you look, the amount of REM sleep you get stays the same. Right? Total number of sleep, the non-REM sleep goes down. The REM stays about the same in that strip. So when you hit about 30 years old, your REM stays pretty consistent, and that's as far as like dreaming. So dreams in adults are much less common than dreams in adolescents, and particularly in young children, toddlers, and infants, right? So take a look at that, 90 years old. How long do they sleep every day? You can get a good look at it. Yeah, about 6 hours, yeah. About 6 hours. So that means they're awake for 18 hours a day. What people see today? Right. Take a look at about your age. So that would be anywhere starting in the middle between 10, 20, and 15, and then about the 3/4 side to 18. They're saying about 10, 9 to 10, right? Kind of what we were talking about, 9 to 10 hours. So that's what you should be getting every night in order for your body to fully develop. If you're not, then you're kind of selling yourself short here. So if you want to perform your full potential, intelligence-wise, patience-wise, ability-wise, particularly if you're performing a task the next day, whether that be sports or intellectual or band or whatever, doesn't matter. Getting sleep is probably the most important thing you can do the night before. Yeah. So a couple statistics I wrote down here just because I thought they were super interesting. Both REM sleep and non-REM sleep decrease dramatically in the first 10 years of life, as we can see. But the greatest decrease in REM sleep is in the first 2 years. Huge decrease. Yeah. Actually, it's studied that where they had they had someone sleep for 6 hours, 7 From what I saw in that study, there was a little bias in that, meaning they didn't modify the time of the test. So if you sleep for 10 hours and you have to take a test at 7 a.m., you've had more non-REM sleep, you've had more delta wave sleep, versus somebody who slept 6 or 7 hours who hasn't had all that non-REM sleep and stayed closer to that conscious mind, right? If you take a test at 7 a.m. and they take a test at 7 a.m., that's different. It just is, right? But if we were to say delay the school day to start at 10 or 10:30, right? Let's say we started at 9:50 instead of 7:50. Those people who got more sleep would perform better, right? But even if it doesn't perform better, it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't care about that, because the sleep is more important than doing well on a test. It's literally allowing your brain and your body to develop fully, allowing you to be a more functioning, higher operating adult at this age and in the first trial period of your life, right? It's pretty much what elementary and high school is. It's sort of a trial period of being a human. Right? Unfortunately, if you don't like it, you still got to buy the full version. But it is what it is. All right. So let's talk about the lighter stages of sleep. Oh, by the way, how many of you know what REM stands for? Yeah, rapid eye movement. Excuse me. Yeah, rapid eye movement. Stage of sleep in which the eyes move really fast across the eyelids. So if you're ever super creepy and you watch somebody sleep, you see their eyes kind of flicker back and forth. They will twitch. It's super weird. You can find videos of that on YouTube and say, hey, REM sleep or rapid eye movement sleep. And it's pretty cool. And these are happening when somebody's dreaming. But beta and alpha waves are what are called non-REM sleep. And it's any stages of those sleep that are not rapid eye movement. All right. So beta waves are sort of the first one that we fall into after that REM. So we sort of slip into beta waves. And those beta waves are when you are wide awake, mentally active. All right. So this is sort of the I'm going to start falling asleep kind of thing. Okay. So beta waves are super quick, super fast. They allow you to react. It's when you are sort of alert and on guard, but this is the very first step moving towards sleep. The beta waves are. Then the alpha waves are the stage of sleep or pre-sleep, I guess, technically, is where you are feeling like, oh my God, I don't even want to go to my bed because I'm so comfortable on the couch, kind of thing, right? You're not actually that comfortable. It's just your body is sort of entering that alpha wave phase where it's making you think like you're tired, like you've had a long day, you need to rest, right? So awake, doing fine, starting to move. This is pre-sleep technically, where it's a lot slower. Your heart rate will go down a little bit. Your endocrine system will start decreasing. You get really, really relaxed, and then you are ready to go to sleep. And then eventually, hopefully, you're going to fall asleep and hit these stages. All right. I'll go ahead and put all three of these up there, but we're going to come back to these. Theta waves are first. This is the first formal sleep cycle. Is your theta wave. It's that light sleep. It's sort of the micro sleep stage where you fall asleep for a couple seconds. Stage 2 is that your temperature changes. So you wear a blanket at night because you get cold at night when you're sleeping. And then finally those delta waves. But we're going to talk more about this tomorrow.